killer new book out. Controligarchs, exposing the billionaire class, their secret deals, and the globalist plot to dominate your life. By Seamus Bruner. Seamus, how are you, sir?
Hi, I'm doing well, Mark. How are you?
Very well. You work with our buddy Peter Schweizer, correct?
Yes, sir. That's right.
All right. Well, tell us about your book. I mean, it looks like Nikki Haley is cornering the market on these uniparty billionaires so far. What do you think?
Well, Mark, as you know us, Peter Schweizer and I, we follow the money. We expose the political class. And during the pandemic, we got this feeling, many of us have felt it for years now, that there's an elite class above the politicians, many of whom are puppets. And so we followed the money all the way to the top, the big donor class, people like George Soros, who, of course, is the biggest political funder on both sides. But then there's also these guys operating behind the scenes who really moved in the shadows but came onto center stage during the pandemic, certainly Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab, even the Rockefeller family. And so the way I define control oligarchs is these are the billionaires and bureaucrats plotting and scheming to dominate every aspect of our lives. And their number one goal, what makes them different than other billionaires, is their number one goal is to take away power from individuals and people like you and me and countries like the United States and transfer that power to international organizations controlled by them. That would be organizations like the WEF, the World Health Organization, and the totally corrupt United Nations. And so once you understand that, all of the chaos in our lives, whether it's the open borders, the crime in our cities, the inflation, even the anti-Semitism and hatred and division, everything starts to make sense when you realize that these control oligarchs want to take away power from you and me and from countries and transfer it to a supranational system controlled by them.
Now, their involvement in politics and so forth, some of it is covert, some of it is known, but it's enormously powerful, and they're very involved, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we're talking enormous sums of money. I mean, we crunched every number. We found that, as most people know, they added trillions of dollars both to their personal net worths, but also to the market caps on their companies. And now they're using that money to seize control over key industries that dominate our lives, whether it's the food, the financial sector, health and transportation and energy, crucially, and, of course, information. I mean, we see the information control growing.
And what do you make of their alliances? I mean, like there's a weird alliance between Charles Koch and George Soros, the Quincy Foundation. So I guess, are they, they're not opposed to joining forces, combining resources, if it advanced their joint agenda. In other words, they're principled to a point, but their main principle is self-interest, no?
Yeah, that's right. And they also are, aligned with each other, but sometimes they compete with each other. But ultimately, all of the people who fly over to Davos, they want to take away control from the peasant class, the people who they think are beneath them.
Mm-hmm. What did you find that was most shocking or concerning as you did your research for this book?
Oh man,
I know
there's
it's
so much.
You got a lot in the book. Yes, but anything that surprised you?
I mean, yeah, well, their takeover of the food sector. I mean, you never thought that they'd be trying to ban.
Let me just say this is very, very important. The food sector. Go ahead and explain what they've done and what they're doing.
Yeah, they're cornering the market and they're trying to ban the competition. And who is the competition? That's your local farmer, the person who's had the farm in their family for generations, and now they're pushing for regulations through their politicians like AOC and Green New Deal and Biden Inflation Reduction Act type policies that are going to make it impossible for farmers to survive.
Many of these billionaires really aren't capitalists, are they? They're what you call them.
No, that's right. They're not capitalists. I mean, they try to dress up their economic system. Klaus Schwab calls it stakeholder capitalism, but it's much better known as stakeholder communism. It's much like what the Chinese Communist Party has, which is state-run, they call it state-run capitalism. The only thing that's capitalist about it is that their companies are the blessed companies to be in bed with the government and make all the money, and everybody else is just a wage slave to them.
And one of the reasons they really despise Donald Trump, almost all of them, is because of his foreign policy towards China, correct? Most of them want to do business with China and make a fortune from China.
That's exactly right, Mark. I mean, there was some talk of decoupling before Chairman Xi came over and got the red carpet rolled out for him by Gavin Newsom. There was talk of decoupling. These guys don't want to decouple from China, not even close. They don't see China as an adversary. They see China as a partner, as a friend. You saw it throughout the pandemic. People like Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab, even BlackRock, they praise the Chinese system, and, they use euphemisms like efficiency and how quickly China can mobilize. But we know what happened in China. It was...
All right, the music means we got to take a break. Hold on, we'll be right back.
Feisty as ever. Please welcome
Mark Levin.
Broadcasting live from the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and on the free Odyssey app.
Mark Levin, the thunder on the right. Call in now, 877-381-3811.
The book is Controligarchs, great name, exposing the billionaire class, their secret deals, and the globalist plot to dominate your life. We're with Seamus Bruner, the author, works very closely with Peter Schweitzer. Seamus, we're watching the drip, 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 almost salami slice strategy of many billionaires now, including Democrats, saying that they're going to support Nikki Haley, throw their weight behind Nikki Haley, and so forth and so on. Are these billionaires acting alone? Do they collude with each other? Do some of them collude with each other? How does this work, or is there no exact process to this?
Oh, they absolutely collude with each other, Mark, and it's no coincidence that Nikki Haley came out demanding that online identities must be exposed. And even though anonymous speech is free speech, the Supreme Court has ruled that. It's no coincidence that Nikki Haley did that remark after meeting with Larry Fink from BlackRock. And this is really all about getting a digital ID, making sure that nobody can remain anonymous. And the advancements, controlling the food supply is an effective way to control people, but controlling people's money and controlling people's information is a very powerful way to control people. And so the advancements in things like central bank digital currencies and digital ID technology, combined with the artificial intelligence advancements we're seeing every day now, is potentially game over for us.
It was very strange, too, don't you think, that out of nowhere she jumps into the middle of the battle between Florida and Disney and takes the side of Disney and says, hey, Disney, you can come to South Carolina when DeSantis and the Republicans are trying to fight the wokeness of Disney, which is clearly destroying itself now. Is that what we can expect, that she's going to jump on the side of these massive international corporations like this?
Yeah, you're exactly right, Mark. I mean, she is, a corporate candidate, and there's so many of them throughout our country. I mean, these guys are buying off our politicians wholesale, and so it always happens after they get some big checks, whether it's from a BlackRock type entity. I mean, the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act, such a terrible name, but I guess brilliant and diabolical. That only happened after Bill Gates picked up the phone. He called Senator Manchin and demanded that Manchin stop holding out the vote. And so you see it all the time. George Soros is already now the biggest funder of 2024. He's got his thumbs on the scale in a lot of other ways, as your viewers know, whether it's the prosecutors or the organizations looking to get candidates taken off of the ballot. And so it's a huge problem. The information control, not enough can be said about that. I mean, just the censorship alone is bad, but they are ratcheting up artificial intelligence. They're going to use it in the election, and they're going to use it to eliminate as many of your jobs as possible. It's no coincidence that Bill Gates and other control oligarchs are backing studies into universal basic income. Universal basic income will essentially be a way to control people because their jobs have been lost, and there's no telling how many people will take the check, and then once they're on the universal basic income, they're totally controlled.
You're listening to Seamus Bruner. He's written his fantastic book, CONTROLIGARCHS, Exposing the Billionaire Class, Their Secret Deals, and the Globalist Plot to Dominate Your Life. It's amazing how the Democrats run against these major corporations, the millionaires and billionaires, but they benefit as much, if not more, than the Republicans, no?
Exactly. I mean, the thought that the left doesn't love corporations is a joke. I mean, you'll see it every Pride Month with the rainbow flag logos, and a lot of these corporations are funding the social division and the hatred amongst our people. It's really, really dark stuff, and it just brings you back to, like, why is all this chaos happening? It's because these people know that a weak country divided, makes it easier to transfer the power of that country to their international organizations like the World Economic Forum and the United Nations. And so that's their end goal. Once you understand that, everything else starts to make sense.
And isn't this a battle within the Republican Party? That is, whether to throw in with these corporations like McConnell and that crowd, or whether to hold them to account, which is the more conservative/populist point of view.
Well, thank goodness the right is starting to wake up and see that the debate of 40 years ago about tax cuts and whether it's, the economy is about tax cuts and regulation, that debate's over. It's, and conservatives are finally starting to wake up, realizing that big corporations are not on our side. They aren't about capitalism. They want crony capitalism or corporatism, or eventually what Klaus Schwab calls stakeholder capitalism, which is really stakeholder communism. And so, yeah, we're waking up, but the debate of the future, I mean, the next 5 years is about artificial intelligence and this universal basic income, which, OpenAI, ChatGPT maker is funding these studies. People are going to be begging for a universal basic income. You can see the videos online all the time. People in their cars, they're crying about losing their job. They can't afford groceries, can't afford insurance, and that's where we're headed.
Didn't we see a taste of that during COVID, too, where there was really a universal basic income, and it went beyond the pandemic, and it's bankrupting the country just at that level, no?
Exactly right. The pandemic, and you hear it all the time, the pandemic's over. Why are we talking about COVID? No, the pandemic was a blueprint for the future, whether it was the controlling of speech or the controlling of movements and controlling what people were allowed to do and where they were allowed to go. And, the vaccine passports were a form of digital ID. They want to implement that worldwide. Bill Gates and the United Nations are right now working to implement digital ID worldwide. And once they have that, it's basically a social credit score.
Why does Bill Gates have all this power? I mean, they're all billionaires, but he seems to be one of the leaders of the pack.
Well, it's, he has been the world's richest man for 20 of the past 30 years. And there's a great MIT professor, Joseph Weizenbaum, who speaks out against this artificial intelligence revolution that they're trying to foist upon us. He says that the Silicon Valley big tech oligarch types, the control oligarchs, they because they have constructed these digital worlds and built these systems where they can turn the dials and pull the levers when building a company like Microsoft or Facebook, because they can turn those dials and get their intended results, they think that they can bring that into the real world. And so it's sort of like this God complex on steroids. They're the gods of their digital worlds, and so they think that entitles them to be the gods of our world.
And who's standing up to these people right now? Anybody?
Well, We got to spread the word. I mean, that's why your show is so important, and we got to get the word out, on more shows. I know I'm encouraged that more and more people are talking about these important subjects. Merriam-Webster said the word of the year this past year was authentic. People are craving authenticity, so people are waking up. But no, the number one thing that needs to happen on the right is we need to correct the imbalance amongst the donors. Now, we've got plenty of great donors, very generous donors. Conservatives are more generous than liberals. It's been proven in study after study. But the George Soros ATM machine and these controligarchs in Silicon Valley, it's just like a faucet. And so we need to fund organizations and people who can get the word out and fight back.
And people need to understand that the entire method or the entire manner in which they live, their whole lifestyles are at stake, right?
Yeah, this is an existential crisis. I mean, Kamala Harris says climate change is an existential crisis. Apparently she didn't get the memo from Bill Gates just a few weeks ago.
Well, she's an existential crisis, if you ask me.
You're exactly right. But no, these control schemes that are going on, largely behind the scenes, but they're starting to come to the forefront. These are an existential crisis, and we've only got a few years before we may never get out.
Well, it's really a fascinating book. We barely touched the tip of the iceberg here. Seamus Bruner is his name. He works with Peter Schweizer, a good friend. He's very much the scholar. He digs into all this research. He's one of the unsung heroes. It's called Controligarchs, exposing the billionaire class, their secret deals, and the globalist plot to dominate your life. You can get it on Amazon.com. And I assume it's in virtually every major bookstore, no?
Yeah, it is. And Amazon is really putting their thumbs on the scales and burying it. So you got to scroll down past all the controlling arches and look for controligarchs. Or if you don't want to give money to Amazon, they're certainly in your local retailers. I'd recommend going to a local retailer, or you can go to controligarchsbook.com, and it's got a lot of other good places to buy books so you don't give Jeff Bezos the money.
It's amazing because Amazon was very, very generous to me, and it was Barnes & Noble that was censoring the book as much as it possibly could. It's amazing which one of these companies do what. But there are ways to get these books. Seamus Bruner, Controligarchs, and it's exposing the billionaire class, their secret deals, and the globalist plot to dominate your life. Really fantastic job. I want to thank you. And it's a perfect time of the year to have a book out, Hanukkah and Christmas, and to get the message out there. So God bless you, my friend. Be well.
God bless you, Mark. Thanks so much.
You better believe it. You take care of yourself. He really is one of the unsung heroes who does this enormous amount of research with Peter and with Breitbart and these others. And this book is his baby, and it's really a fascinating book. It's frightening, actually.